Hi everyone, Shiv here. So today we're going to be taking a look at Dungeons 2! Yes, Dungeons 2. Alright, music. Alright, so Dungeons 2 is a very interesting game. Let me just go ahead and knock down this background music vibe because that's extremely loud. We're also going to knock that down some more. Dialogue we're going to keep there. Alright, there we go. Now you can actually hear me! Alright, so Dungeons 2. When I was younger, long time ago, I played a lot of games, and one of the games that I really enjoyed as I was growing up was Dungeon Keeper. And then they came out with Dungeon Keeper 2, which was basically the same game, but they added in more stuff and better graphics and things of that nature. But it was cool. The idea was basically you're this evil tyrant underneath, you're protecting dungeons against these invading adventurers, and they were trying to steal your gold, and you basically had to build your dungeon, set up traps, and fight them off. It's probably the closest thing to like a tower defense that I can think of, except for, instead of placing towers, you literally had rooms that had functionalities, and you built up forces, and you sent them to fight. It was quite fun. It really was. In Dungeon Keeper 2, they did a lot of tongue-in-cheek things that were kind of cool. But, everybody expected Dungeon Keeper 3, and at the end of Dungeon Keeper 2, they talk about him going to the surface. But, unfortunately, the company folded for some odd reason. It was a very popular game. It's got, like, cult status now amongst, like, old-school gamers. All right? So, the Dungeon series came out, which is, a remake, obviously. So, here we are in 2. And guess what? We get to come out from underground. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get into this, show you how this game is. Alright. Now, I've already played a few. It's kind of cool. But we can start at the beginning, so let's go ahead and do that. The narration here
Once
is
upon
awesome.
a time, there was a kingdom full of flowers and rainbows, where the sun shone all the time, and there was loads of that goody-goody, lovey-dovey good people stuff going on. There, the alliance of abominably good people lived in unearned wealth and prosperity.
Love the narration.
But there was a path leading to a different place there. At the end of this path was a rock. There was a cave carved in this rock, in which the absolute evil lived. It wasn't a grubby, damp cave smelling of muck and mildew, but a deep, dark dungeon, so dark that even darkness itself was afraid of it. It was home to numerous innocent monsters, who enjoyed a happy, contented existence, living in complete harmony with their environment. But time and again, the sickening, sweet-smelling good visited this underworld in search of treasure and experience points. Many monsters found this to be the death of them, but much worse, the absolute evil's treasures were being stolen. One day, just as a few more heroes had finished plundering its dungeon, the absolute evil decided it had had enough, and decided to do something new, something quite monstrous. Go to the surface. The Alliance tried to resist, but the approaching horde just flowed over them like an angry wave of axes, teeth, and bad breath. After numerous unrelenting battles, the absolute evil finally stood before the Alliance's capital, King's Ending.
Yeah, the narration in this game is hilarious. If you just like sit and like do nothing for a while, he just babbles on and says some really quirky stuff. It's quite cute.
After countless battles, the forces of the absolute evil reached the Alliance capital, King's Ending. The lovable remnants of the forces of good had come here to make ready for the final battle. evil would pay a high price indeed to storm those fortress walls, or so they thought. Suddenly, a rumble rose from deep within the earth. Stones burst asunder, revealing an ancient path into the depths. Out of the depths of Stygian darkness arises the invincible evil. With earth-shaking steps, the unstoppable evil began its trek towards the front. In the terribly improbable event that it may have forgotten how that works, a formidable help function has been provided. Even the forest could not withstand the aura of the ultimate evil, and beat a hasty retreat.
You will be using your arrow keys to shift the
A few of
camera
the
around.
Alliance units had entrenched themselves here. A determined absolute evil marched towards them in order to strike them down with its mighty weapon. The absolute evil had discovered a medal. These legendary awards ensured a creature could be made even more powerful. Only one downside: a creature could only wear one at a time. Eyes ablaze with greed, the insidious evil gazed upon the blood-drenched battlefield. Here the last defenders of good would die, and an age of evil begin. Projectiles from the Alliance's catapults darkened the sky, but the Horde's fighting skills were at their best in darkness, if they survived. Nothing and no one could stop the invincible evil.
Unfortunately, the game is not overly optimized for some odd reason.
The absolute evil destroyed the defenders' camp in the east with the greatest of ease. Now, only one tiny camp offers any resistance to the absurdly evil evil. And even that won't be able to hold out for much longer.
It has a lot of aspects similar to a MOBA and having to fight creeps, but yet not as much as you would think. Alright, so next we come up here, we take out this camp.
The absolute evil destroyed the defenders' camp in the west with the greatest of ease. The defenders in front of the city had been beaten to a pulp and defeated. Now the time had come to attack King's Ending. The final battle beckoned.
Alright, I'm going to... Actually, yeah, let's get over here. Can I? Alright.
But what's this? The wicked evil was hesitating, rather than taking the fastest route to the city gate. Did it want to keep the defenders shaking in their boots with fear? The city gate was firmly barricaded by the Alliance's archers, but the absolute evil would not allow itself to be held up by such a ridiculous impediment. So, go get 'em! Destroy them now! Oh yes, sorry, stay in character. The absolute evil used its all-powerful magic to eliminate the archers and open the gate to the city. Using its legend, wait for it, Dere powers, the absolute evil destroyed the impediment with ease and simultaneously eliminated a whole group of defenders. The road to the capital was now clear. The absolute evil did not hesitate for even 1 nanosecond. The insidious evil entered King's Ending. A small, pitiful group of defenders stood in its way. Suddenly, The doors of several houses in the city opened, and with a loud roar, defenders bore down on the rather surprised evil. An ambush. The invincible evil had crushed the defenders. King's Ending had been defeated. At least, that's what it thought. Suddenly, the final heroes of the Alliance emerged from nowhere. Another ambush? Now, this was... But wait, this time it was different. Instead, the heroes raised their hands and started singing an incomprehensible chant. A magical ritual? This did not bode well.
No, it
Well,
doesn't.
actually, it bode the arrival of good things, great things, unless you happen to be the absolute evil.
Alright. So, basically, you get
The last
banished.
remaining heroes of the country joined forces and cast a powerful banishment spell. The absolute evil disappeared from sight with a threatening gesture, and a faint whispered, "I'll be back." The absolute evil had been banished, and its essence shattered into several pieces. Its reign of terror had ended. The good people of the overworld rejoiced, and an era of peace began for the Alliance. The evil creatures were driven back into the underground, doomed to serve as cannon fodder for pleasure-seeking adventurers. Meanwhile, secreted away in the world's most inaccessible places, the last remains of the absolute evil were resting, never again to see the light of the overworld. Until today,
Anybody else notice the precious?
somewhere deep under the earth, the ultimate evil awoke. And the Hand of Terror arose, controlled by the ultimate evil. Come on, Hand of Terror, arise, damn you! Methinks that exploring the surrounding area would be a sensible strategy. However, to do this, light would be required. Still not bright enough. An old throne room was revealed by the light. The circumstances remained a mystery. The Hand of Terror flew through the throne room, following each and every thought the ultimate evil had. After a few flying sessions, the ultimate evil was able to control the hand with ease. The time had come to call forth creatures who were completely devoted to it and would do its dirty work. Little Snots were the dregs of each and every dungeon and spent their time taking care of it. The expansion-mad evil hired one Snot on the spot. The first Little Snot appeared. It was completely ready to work in the dungeon and to crawl in the dust before the ultimate evil. Little Snots were important to the ultimate evil because they took care of many important little things, such as excavating new areas. The psionically gifted evil could sense the presence of something important that was buried to the south. It instructed its little Snots to dig in that direction. As quick as a fart, the little Snot made his way to the marked position and began to dig.
Not fast enough. Faster. Bitch, get back here. Yes, you could slap him.
Behold, the creatures of the overjoyed evil had apparently been much more industrious than it had thought. A great dungeon was revealed behind the wall. Everything was already in place. Doors, traps, a well-filled treasury. Oh, wait. Treasury? And where, if you please, is this treasury? Oh, well. One can't expect too much of these mindless little Snots. First of all, some gold had to be dug out to make space for a treasury to be created. The Hand of Terror swiftly marked a few small gold veins so that the little Snots could excavate them. As soon as the gold vein was selected, a little Snot immediately set out to mine valuable gold for the greedy evil.
So yeah, you spend a lot of time basically excavating out, building stuff in these tutorial missions. Eventually you'll get through the tutorial stuff and it accelerates quite a bit.
Oh. Once most of the gold had been mined, the Hand of Terror quickly created a treasury on the spot so that the precious metal could be safely stored. The clever evil mastered this task with flying colors. From now on, Little Snots could use the treasury to store mined gold. It was then at the greedy evil's disposal whenever more rooms needed to be built or new creatures recruited. Little Snots were all well and good, but were too weak and cowardly to defend the dungeon. Since it was not able to defend itself, the ultimate evil would have to hire some orcs. But they would require food. Liquid food. Well,
Yes,
beer.
apparently orcs only
So the
operate
next
on
important
beer.
thing to build was a brewery, and that would require some space to be created. The ultimate evil had the feeling that its servants were not really putting their backs into the work. Might a hearty slap from the Hand of Terror change that? The sadistic evil encouraged its creature to work a little faster, with a friendly but not at all gentle slap. There was now an area cleared for the brewery site, and with quick finger snaps from the Hand of Terror, the room stood ready. Excellent, but the recently built brewery lacked a brewing copper. With a sigh of resignation, the overworked evil set about taking care of that too. Oh. Oh.
Ah, there we go.
The hard-working evil effortlessly built a brewing copper so that delicious beer could be brewed as soon as possible. One of the little snots started working on the brewing copper. The nostalgic evil banished all thoughts of Oktoberfest and brass bands. Those would have to wait. More important tasks had to be completed first. Both beer and gold were now available in the dungeon, so it was time to hire some creatures to defend against greedy heroes or whatever else snuck around underground. At present, it was only simple orcs declaring undying loyalty to the ultimate evil. The rest of the horde was scattered to the winds. Orcs were defensive close combat specialists, capable of dealing with many opponents. However, they were very vulnerable to ranged attacks.
Yes, they are.
An eerie gong rang through the halls. It did not bode well for the ultimate evil's treasury stocks, for at each sounding of the gong, the creatures would collect their undeserved wages. However, there was little it could do about this, as it was chained to the throne. Thus, it had to give free rein to its servants' desires, for the time being at least.
Now, orcs, they spend a lot of time basically, reinforcing the walls, making it look prettier. They pretty much spend their entire time inside the brewery.
One louse-infested orc crawled up from the depths and declared allegiance to the ultimate evil. The first step towards the creation of a powerful army had been taken. The dungeon of the expansion-mad evil grew and prospered, but unfortunately, it had reached the maximum possible population it could currently manage. Now a creature would have to be thrown into the bottomless pit before any others could be brought in. The creature disappeared into the pit of uselessness with a long drawn and gradually diminishing This particular act of wickedness brought a smile to the face of the ultimate evil. The profound evil had had enough of dungeon sightseeing and now wanted to move to the surface to try a dish that is best served cold. Revenge. Some Alliance members were bound to be guarding the entrance to the overworld. A fine appetizer for a vengeful evil. A horrified expression crossed the ultimate evil's face when it discovered that all the chickens from its chicken farm had been eaten. What were its creatures going to eat now? Wait a moment. Chickens? Oh, whoops, that's another game. Got confused. The nameless evil's creatures came upon a spider's nest during their search for an entrance to the overworld. It would take more than one orc to smoke that out. The abysmal evil used the Hand of Terror to grab several of the creatures that were still completely inexperienced at fighting and threw them onto the spider's nest.
That's the only problem I have with this is I haven't discovered if there's a way while in this dungeon mode that you can grab all of them.
The spiders dropped like flies. The strategically well-versed evil patted itself on the back, proud that it had led its troops into battle with such aplomb. And by led, I just simply mean chucking them at the enemy. The basics of a dungeon were now in place. However, the brewery was puny and didn't really have room to store beer barrels in, and the treasury was also anything but impressive in size. Quickly, the expansion-hungry evil set out to enlarge its dungeon.
The evil has awoken, but its brothers are still asleep.
Huh? What on earth was that? That's not in my script. What a weirdo. No matter. We'd better get back to concentrating on the dungeon. Meantime, several carnivorous penguins had begun to make their way to the ultimate evil's dungeon. They would arrive eventually, but definitely not before this story is ended.
All right. So we've completed our little objectives now. We just got to dig a little bit more south.
It's payday. huge monstrosity loomed out of the darkness on 8 legs.
Oh,
This
that's not good.
dungeon's human guards had been ancient history for a long while. Now it was home to a huge spider and her brood. Would Sam and Frodo escape it and continue their journey to Mount Doom, or was this the end of the Ring-Bearer? Hang on a minute, that's not the right text.
They make so many references
yes,
to
a
that
huge
damn
spider,
movie.
henceforth
Or that
called the
story.
Spider Queen. It would be necessary to eliminate the Spider Queen before the Horde could reach the surface. The Spider Queen sent forth a wave of her children. Of course, the ultimate evil was fully aware of this danger and immediately prepared to defend itself against them. At least, that's what I heard.
Oh, we've lost a couple too.
The vile perversion,
All
once
right.
called the Spider Queen, had nothing more with which she could fight the Horde. Later, the sensitive evil would have her innards made into a lava lamp.
Well,
The
that
way
is
to the surface was
at
open.
least, you
Now
know.
it was time to put those
sensitive.
vengeance plans into practice. The vile evil wanted to take this opportunity to utter a really sinister laugh. But unfortunately, its physical state made this unviable. Instead, it asked the narrator to do a bit of sinister laughter on its behalf. Oh well, here goes. Deep breath.
It's just like if Douglas Adams narrated this thing, because it's so comical, it's so cute, it's a fun game, ladies and gentlemen. Seriously, check this game out. It's $30 on Steam. It's worth the money. You'll have a lot of fun. And they're very active in the Steam community. Like shortly after it came out, people figured out that there was a problem. Patched within like 12 hours. So yeah, like I said, fun game. I like it. I'm probably gonna play it all the way through and probably do some skirmishes and other fun stuff. But all right, so let's take a couple of looks at a couple of things here. There's a multiplayer option. Yes, isn't that nice? Single player, you got skirmishes, and oh yeah. All right, so lots of fun here. The multiplayer option is definitely going to be something I'm going to be enjoying. And I got a feeling other people are going to like that as well. I haven't messed around with it yet because I still want to learn all the units and everything of that nature before I delve into that. So, yeah. Dungeons 2, man. AKA Dungeon Keeper. I guess this would be 4 or 4.5 or something. I don't know. There's been so many attempts to actually recreate the experience of Dungeon Keeper. But I honestly feel that this one is the closest I've seen yet. Pointy would be proud. Or was it Horny? I think it was Horny. Yeah. It was Horny from Bullfrog. Yeah. So yeah. Horny would be proud of this. And yeah, I can't say enough nice things about it. It's clever, it's witty, the gameplay is relatively simplistic. Camera, I feel, could use a little bit of work, but other than that, it's straight up fun. You'll get a kick out of it. All right, so yeah, check out Dungeons 2. Till next time, this is a Shiv saying, if you like these videos, please like and subscribe. Hopefully we'll have some more content coming in the future on other games, you know, besides Hearthstone. Till then, peace.